This is the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Before we get into the latest on guys like Dalvin Cook, Tony Pollard, Micah Parsons, etc., I'm once again asking for your help to continue to grow this channel so I can feed my family. Share the video. No better way for us to get in front of new eyeballs than if you share it. So whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, text it to a buddy, whatever, share the video. If you tag me on Twitter, I will be sure to retweet you as well. Let's get into the latest on Dalvin Cook. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, Dan Orlovsky, I know, argued Dallas needs to get Dalvin Cook. The pitch from Orlovsky was, if you want to be a real contender, you need to sign Dalvin Cook because he makes your football team better, which I've always kind of, to an extent, I've hated that argument for free agents in like June because it applies to like 15 different teams. Like, he'll make a lot of teams a little bit better. It's a question of, does he make you enough better relative to the contract, relative to what you have on your roster? That is the rub in the end. There's been plenty of speculation on Dalvin Cook and on the Cowboys, pre-release, after release, and I do think the Cowboys could be interested at the right price. Now, we do know that they like their guys, right? They have Deuce Vaughn. They've signed Ronald Jones. There's been a little bit of decent buzz for not just Malik Davis, but Rico Dowdle, Hunter Lipke. Those guys combined do not have a fraction of the resume that Dalvin Cook has. In the course of his NFL career, he has been a consistent 1,000-yard rusher. This has been, over the last 3 to 4 years, among the NFL league leaders year in and year out in terms of production. But the problem is, and why he got released by the Vikings, and I know there's been the conversation of Dalvin Cook is cooked. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's cooked, but I am saying the signs of decline, the signs of regression, specifically to Dalvin, not towards the Vikings offense as a unit, but specifically for Dalvin Cook, are absolutely there. Look at the rushing yard average, 5.1, 4.7, 4.4. And look at the rushing yards over. It's an NFL next-gen stat number. Basically takes the ball tracking chip data, and because they do have it, just not quite dialed enough to do the actual first down markers, but there are chips in the football, to say this is what the player should get based on the blocking, everything else out there. Here's what he actually got. He was 8th best in 2020. Elite production. Then 42nd. Then 55th. That is regression. That is decline. And at the running back spot, even though it's not fair to backs, and I get it, that's concerning because it doesn't often go back up in a positive direction. When they lose it, they tend to lose it. It's the unfortunate reality of playing back in the NFL. He is not the same guy. That doesn't mean he can't help you, but it does mean you have to be shrewd in terms of identifying how much you really want to invest in him. So would you sign Dalvin Cook? This is going to be today's pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube. Y for yes, N for no. If an ad break comes here on the YouTube side of it, take advantage. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. Now, what I think you owe it to yourself as a bare minimum due diligence, if you were, is to figure out what the cost is. Identify how much Dalvin Cook wants. If he wants a very cheap deal, let's ride. If he wants to recoup everything he just lost from Minnesota, if he wants to get paid $8, $9, $10, $11 million, I'm not interested because I'm already paying a big amount of money at that point. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network has what could be the answer, or at least what Dalvin Cook's camp is searching for. Dalvin Cook is not looking to sign a $4 to $5 million contract. That is not going to happen. This is going to be a significant contract. Well, unfortunately, 4 to 5 is about what I would be willing to pay for Dalvin Cook at this stage. Anything beyond that is a little bit too much for me because I am still paying Zeke some money on my books. He's about 5 this year, 4 next year, or 5 and 5, give or take. There's some rounding there. I'm already paying Tony Pollard $10 million. I'm not trying to have a $20, $25+ million backfield. That's too much money from a roster management construction standpoint. I'd rather invest it elsewhere in a left guard even. And I want to see what these young guys can do. What can Rico Dowdle do? What can Malik Davis do? What can my guy Deuce Vaughn do? What can Ronald Jones do for you? I'm not committed to throwing big money at Dalvin Cook just in case. I get the concerns over Tony Pollard. The potential fears of, is he too small? Is he too hurt? But I'm not sure those are really based around, because this was part of the argument from ESPN. Well, Tony Pollard isn't a workhorse back. He's too small. He's coming off the broken leg 5 months ago. He'll be good to go for camp. I'm not worried about the injury. And we have heard this refrain before. Tony Pollard can't handle the workload. He can't handle it. But every single year of his NFL career, he's gotten more carries, more touches. It's gone up every single season. What was the result last year? 5.2 yards per carry, which is elite production, to be clear. He's handled it every time he's been asked to do more. By the way, Tony Pollard is 1 pound lighter than Dalvin Cook. I don't think a singular pound changes it that much. Now, he is 2 inches taller, so the mass in the frame is different, but he's a pound heavy, or a pound lighter. It's not a big difference. If you're signing Dalvin Cook, it's not to be the guy over Tony Pollard. It's to be the backup. It's to be the 1B in that committee. Maybe you keep the numbers more along the lines of Tony Pollard gets 200 and touches, and Dalvin Cook gets, maybe 150, somewhere in that range on the ground. But he's going to be a backup because Tony Pollard is a better football player right now than Dalvin Cook. I saw some of that conversation on social media claiming Dalvin Cook was better. I don't agree. Now, it's a fun idea to have both of them if Dalvin Cook wants to play for cheap. It doesn't sound like that's going to end up being the case. Who is the better running back right now? I gave you my answer, and now I want to hear from you guys, too, in the comment section. TP for Tony Pollard, DC for Dalvin Cook. Who is the better back right now? Go ahead and vote. If you have not already, please make sure you guys are subscribed to us here at the Cowboys Report. We just passed 156,000. Thank you all so much. We have a long way to go for 157,000. Let's keep growing. Hit that sub button, all for free right now. Let's talk Micah Parsons, what he had to say. ESPN, fun article on it here. He's hyping up his 2023 campaign, saying, I'm going to do it all. It's going to be a year to remember. I'm going to play 7 spots, 8 positions, whatever it was. And I think if you count all 4 defensive line spots, some stand-up, some edge, the 3 linebacker spots, and then, I don't know, nickel or something, like coming off as a blitz package, you can get to 8, but he's going to be a 80% edge usage just like he was last year because that's smart. The pass rush is how you maximize him, not playing off-ball linebacker and dropping him back. He's better going north. He's better going north after the QB. It's rare to have that guy. That's why you want him. Here's what Micah Parsons said on his goals, his expectations, etc. Kind of off the sack wave. I'm onto the impact wave. Like, you see Aaron Donald. He can have 12 sacks, but the impact he makes is so dominant, you can tell. I really just want to be dominant. Then you see guys have 16, 17 sacks, but not considered a guy. I want to be a guy, not one of the guys. If you're always chasing, then you're never achieving. Feel me? So I'm not chasing for something. I'm trying to achieve and be greater than someone that's chasing. I'm telling you, I'm going to do it all. It's going to be a year to remember for sure. I do like the mindset for Micah Parsons. I'm not sure I fully agree with you can't be chasing stuff. I think it's fine to an extent, but I get what he's trying to say. If he wants to achieve, not just try. Do or do not, I guess is what he's really trying to say. Then I'll take it full nerd from that perspective. I have, once again, incredibly high expectations for Micah Parsons, like all of you do, I'm sure. Because if you're doing a fantasy-style draft defense next 5 years, next 3 years, next 10 years especially, isn't Micah going number 1 or at least like number 2 or number 3? Aaron Donald's still great, but he's got maybe a few years left. It's Micah Parsons. This is one of the best young players because having 13 and 13.5 sacks in year 1 and year 2, that's rare. That is uncommon production. I mean, look at what Chase Young has done. Had a good first year, nothing since then. That's how it goes. Now, how many sacks do you think Micah Parsons will end up having this year? I know he said he's off the sack train, but can't quantify impact in that fashion. So we're going to do sacks. It's more fun. How many sacks for Micah Parsons this year? Go ahead and vote for me in the comments. One very speculative trade rumor here to wrap up today's show. Heavy.com, but also Sports Illustrated discussed it. Cowboys trading for Raheem Mostert, the Dolphins running back. Now, Dalvin Cook, who's from Miami and has made some, not well disguised implications about wanting to go to Miami. They was almost traded to the Dolphins, allegedly. Well, if Dalvin Cook ends up in Miami, the Dolphins have some excess running backs. They have right now under contract Mostert, Jeff Wilson, drafted Devon Achane in the 3rd round, Salvon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin. You throw in Dalvin, that's 6 backs. You're carrying maybe 3 or 4 of them, and they have a fullback they'll probably carry to an Al Kingold. So those numbers don't start to align in the end. Now, Heavy.com had a trade idea. Raheem Mostert and a 4th or 5th round pick. That is a significant amount to give up. And frankly, I think it is recklessly too much to give up. In general, I think the running back trade market is not well understood. Look at what DeAndre Swift went for. Now, it was a future 4th, but we're giving up a similar trade package for Raheem Mostert, or at least similar-ish? No. That's a hard no from me. I'm not moving that level of pick, because I'll just wait for the Dolphins to cut somebody. I'm not trading. Mostert's a fine player, don't get me wrong, but there's no reason to move that level of pick for a player that I think you would try to utilize in somewhat similar fashion to Tony Pollard. I don't know if that's the most logical factor. Plus, it's kind of always hurt. DeAndre Swift got a similar-ish pick. Mostert's been super efficient, super effective, but I see 1 game played in 2021. I see under 1,000 yards beyond that. I'm not nearly as in love with that trade compensation. Conditional 7th? Let's have a conversation. Beyond that, I'm not so sure. So I'm not moving a premium pick or premium cash, although he would be very cheap for you, for a running back at this stage.